Good afternoon and happy Friday. This is part 4 of our series leaning into the crisis, being proactive, not reactive. Today we're joined by a guest based out of Tucson, Arizona. His name is Dr. Tim Harrigan. Personally, I've actually never met Dr. Harrigan in person like the previous 3 series that I've had with Dr. Highshetter, Dr. Powell, and Dr. Comey. So I'm interested to learn a little bit more about him, which I'll ask him here in just a moment. As you guys know, for those of you that have tuned into our previous episodes, this is really about starting a conversation on getting back to work and being proactive, not only in the clinical side, but also in the business side of things as the United States starts to slowly open back up. As I mentioned, Dr. Harrigan is based out of Tucson, Arizona, so I'll probably ask him some specific questions about his state and what he's gone through. In the little conversation that I've had about 5 minutes before this with Dr. Harrigan, it's my first time really talking with him. It sounds like he's actually doing really well out in Arizona, so we'll dig into that. But I would like to officially introduce you, Dr. Harrigan. And if you would, sir, just for our viewers and also for myself, because like I said, I really don't know your story, if you could give us some insight on who you are, what you do, your background and things that you specialize in specific to chiropractic, and also really how you got into chiropractic.
Yeah, absolutely, Daniel. Thank you for the introduction. So yeah, I'd love to meet you in the near future at a seminar or something. You guys are amazing. So I met you through one of your reps, Penny, like I mentioned a little while ago, and she's amazing. I would have come around to the company eventually because, you know, a little background on me. I basically was pre-med. I was going to be an eye doctor at one point in time, and that just didn't really make sense to me. Medications and invasive procedures for health, they just didn't really make sense. So I actually fell into being a chiropractic physician by kind of luck, by grace, whatever you want to call it. So my gut always just, I've never really believed in medications, to be honest. So there was always something funny in my gut. So I have not had a prescription in 17 years. I have 4 kids, actually. I'll show you that picture right now.
Awesome.
I have 4 kids. So my wife, that little lady right there, she was told that she would never actually have children. She had PCOS, endometriosis, and all these other issues. Those 4 kids aren't supposed to be there. So that's why we were a little bit older when we started having children. So my kids have not had any medications. And so the reason I share some of those stories is because our practice is designed around that. We basically run our practice how we take care of ourselves in our own lives. So if I'm, sourcing a laser or a diagnostic test or blood work. So in our practice, we do a little bit of everything. I've learned 10 different chiropractic techniques. I never really believed in just trying to master one. I don't think it's that hard to master a technique, to be honest. So I wanted variety. I didn't want to be able to say no to anybody. So we adjust babies. We work with really old people, world-class athletes. So our practice is designed around how we live our life, which is really cool. So whether we're using plant-based nutritional formulas, lasers, chiropractic stuff, diagnostic tests, I always make sure we're using the best in the world. So we would have come around to you guys eventually if Penny hadn't introduced me to you guys, because you guys are the best, obviously. I think, 21 laser patents in the world? You guys own 18 of them. So I would have come to you eventually, but it just kind of fell into my lap. So I'm super grateful for that. So we see about 20 to 50 people a day. It's a lot of fun because all we're doing is sharing information on what I've learned over the past 20 years as a personal trainer, basically doing pre-med type classes, just enormous amounts of continuing education. So I'm kind of obsessed. It's a weird obsession where I love helping people without using invasive procedures or things that they need to recover from as well as the original issue they had. So we kind of get to the cause of a problem as much as possible. That's why we do so many different types of diagnostic testing. We do nutrition. We coach people on physical health and mental health a little bit. And I'm not a psychologist, of course, but everything's connected chemically, mentally, and physically to be healthy. So just doing chiropractic never really made sense to me, but we do a really good job with that as well. So that's just kind of the nuts and bolts of basically how we run our practice. So.
Awesome. And then as we were chatting earlier, you said you went to Parker College, correct?
Yes.
Out there in Dallas area. Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know specifically, and just in the couple minutes that you and I were chatting before, we started this, you were telling me, you guys are actually doing really well and almost better during COVID-19 than you were previous to this. Most of the people that I've talked to, the previous 3 episodes of this, most of the doctors were either, depending on their state and location, they were either shut down completely or the doctors just weren't working. Like one of the doctors was sequestered at home due to his wife's immune complications. Yeah. And then some of the other doctors are just at a slower capacity. So with you, it's interesting that you've actually had better business and more patient load due to COVID-19. If you wouldn't mind, just kind of tell us a little bit about that. What are you doing differently, if anything, or what's the reason for that?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know, but I get a little frustrated, honestly, that doctors are slowing down. I mean, this is a time that people need us more than ever. So I was thinking about that after Penny and I talked about it, and I'm like, what is going on? And all the doctors I've talked to too, friends and stuff, they're either not working or like 30 to 80% slower. And I don't understand why. So I was thinking about it, and I think it's honestly just how our communication with patients. We give different weekly handouts on any topic you could ever think of. It might be a medical article, could be some research, could be a nutrition thing. We're constantly educating our patients. And I think because we do so many different things, to help a patient, people, I don't know, I'm proud of our patients, to be honest, because they realize they need this more than ever. There's studies that show how obviously chiropractic affects the immune system, right? Mm-hmm. Your lasers, right? We can show through some PubMed articles that they affect the immune response in the body. The violet laser, right? It's the antimicrobial laser. We just bought that one. It's perfect timing. So that's our 3rd laser now. So I don't know. I don't know why people are slower. Obviously, if there's state laws that say you have to close, you have to close. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But there's only a couple states, I believe, out of the 50 that have done that. So I'm racking my brain, and honestly, I think it's a communication thing. Okay. I'm obsessed with what we do. So if I learn something over the weekend by reading articles or research or something, I want to share it with the patients. I don't hide it from them and think it's too complex for them or whatever. So I think our patients appreciate that. And like I said, I'm super proud of them because we don't do a lot of marketing. 80% of our new patients are referrals. We don't spend a ton of money on advertising and stuff. So a lot of it is just people come in with a little bit of trust. So I think it's the whole culture of what we've created as to why we got a little bit busier. And people have a little more time, right? Because some of them aren't working and stuff, so they're able to come in. But I don't know. I think they just realize that they need to take care of their body even more right now if there is this dangerous virus going around. Well, what do we have control of? The only thing we have control of, we don't have control of the politics or the rules and, the legal stuff or whatever, but we have control of this. Our vehicle is the most important thing. I just posted something about this on social media. The learning and the knowledge that we gain from understanding how this body works, to give people an idea, I mean, most doctors watching this understand this, there's over 30,000 billion chemical reactions in the body every second. 30,000 billion every second. So it's very complex. And so this is what we have control of: the food I'm eating, the mental stress, the sleep. This is my vehicle, right? I can't go enjoy my hobbies. I can't go on vacation. I can't, help my family. Maybe I have sick family members. Maybe I have other people like my patients I have to take care of. So this should be people's number one priority. And so that's always been our obsession and priority. And I think our patients have learned some of that over time. And so it's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm super proud of them. So it's been pretty cool.
Absolutely. And from what it sounds like, mostly just a communication thing and how you're communicating to your patients, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And like you said, certain states, you can't control the politics, you can't control those types of things. I know specifically for Arizona, your governor, Doug Ducey, he was much like ours, Ron DeSantis. And not to get into politics, but I know the stay-at-home order, he kind of got forced into issuing because I know he wanted to keep the state open just like Ron DeSantis here in Florida. And it sounds like you guys are technically on a stay-at-home until May 15th, but I guess earlier this week he was saying that it's kind of pretty much back to normal. I know not back to normal, but for the most part of, restaurants and things like that opening back up. Now, from the communication standpoint, I know almost everybody, including us even doing this right now, this is something totally new to Erchonia. We really, like I was telling Dr. Highsheder, we had to get catapulted into this digital age of offering, these webinars and the web-based education that we're doing. So from an education standpoint, if you would go a little further into how you are educating your patients, is it by email? Is it by video? Is it by, Facebook Live? Or what is your method of educating patients to keep them, like you said, focused on their personal health?
The answer is yes, 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 yes. So
Okay.
we use everything because I'm not really a marketer. I'm not an extrovert. I'm very introverted. So to get on like this, it totally stresses me out, just FYI. So,
You're doing great.
so we do everything because I've learned over time that a long time ago, I learned this. If people don't know you or what you do or the service you provide or the product you sell, they will, it's guaranteed they will never come to you. So that stuck with me a long time ago. So I'm like, well, shoot, I got to get out there and, tell people about it, I guess. So I've learned also that people sometimes they don't check email. So we do email, campaigns and, I'll send out research or updates on the office. You guys know though, the email open rate is so low. It's almost pointless, but you have to, because there's, that 10%, that's what they rely on. So we do text messaging. So part of our intake form is getting permission so that we can text our patients, and we don't violate HIPAA or anything, of course, but it's for announcements, or I might send a video on education. So I'm doing more and more videos because there's statistics on this, right? YouTube and Zoom and all these things, people love videos. And I think social media has played into that. People don't want to read much anymore, to be honest, unless it's like a
Dr. Harrigan, it's cutting out a little bit. I don't know if you can still hear me.
It doesn't take a lot of time. So the video stuff like this is where most people are getting their information now. Google, you got to do some stuff on there. We do. Are you there?
I am, yes. I can hear your audio, but your video is freezing on my side. So I can still hear you talking, and you can certainly keep going. I don't know if it's the internet on my side. Oh, there we go. Okay, we're good to go now. Sorry, I cut out for a minute, but I heard the majority of everything you were saying.
Okay, I have a strong Wi-Fi, so that's strange. Okay.
Could certainly be on my side.
We do everything. I mean, to be honest, because I don't know who I'm going to miss if I don't use a certain platform. So, but it's confusing, right? The first time we started using social media or Zoom, it's overwhelming, and most people they don't want to deal with it because it's a new learning curve. So I've learned to just, take it a step at a time, and just over time, you make that 1 degree of change over time. By the end of the year, it's going to be very different in what you're doing. So I use everything because I don't want to miss out on that, 5% of people that just use social media, or the 10% of people that just use email. Or I want to get, we don't really talk about the news a whole lot. We have lately because of the immune system, and it ties into the body. When I'm with patients though, I want to know about their family and how their day's going and stuff like that. But it's always health related topics, because again, I've read a lot of stuff on marketing in the past too. And we're so brainwashed and bombarded by information from magazine ads and commercials and billboards and, radio. We're brainwashed, whether we think we are or not. We are getting information, whether we want it or not. So I realized that you have to almost be so loud that you start canceling some of that conditioning out of them, because a lot of it's wrong, right? A funny example we tell our patients is, if you see a food that has a commercial, more than likely that food isn't good for you, right? They don't advertise broccoli, right, and cucumbers and all these healthy foods we should be eating. So we are bombarded by advertising. That's why we have certain habits in our environment that are just kind of conditioned, whether we think they are or not. So I'm obsessed, because one of the statistics I think a lot of doctors are aware of on here, our children now, this was just in fortune.com a few months back, our children now, and this hits home with me, of course, with those 4 little kids there, will not outlive us as parents. This is the first time in history we spend more on healthcare. Our lifespan was getting better over the decades. It's not just plateaued now, it's getting worse. Our children will not outlive us as parents. And the human body can last 130 to 140 years, experts say. We're barely making it to half that. But our habits now we've created have actually lowered our lifespan. So I want people we have to educate so much more heavily every second I'm with somebody, which gets kind of tedious, but it's important. When you're obsessed with it, you don't care, because we have to change our general habits as a nation. Because if I just keep doing what my neighbors are doing, I'm going to fit into that mold of we're living less time now. It's crazy to me. It's kind of insane. So that's why we do some weird things, but it's weird because it's not mainstream. But that's also why it's so important to educate people on mainstream versus here's what we probably should be doing, because here's the statistics. If this was working really good, what taking ibuprofen all the time or eating this certain way, or so much screen time that we have now, why is our lifespan getting worse? So part of that is just that awareness and communication. So I'm always trying to get creative, even if it's embarrassing for me or I have to be silly with somebody, trying to get across to them just some of these principles, and hopefully some of that mud sticks to the wall. So I'm always figuring out. So that's why we use so many different methods, all of them.
Yeah, well, it's obviously working because, like you said, your business has increased. I know you're really killing it there and doing a fantastic job. So keep doing what you're doing. It's working good.
And Daniel, on that note too, is honestly, I love being busy. I don't think everybody's like that, but I love being busy. So even if we're not with patients and we're not busy seeing patients all day long, we're busy preparing for patients. We're busy researching, for my health, for my family's health, and for our patients' health, of course. So we're always busy, to be honest, but our intake of patients has been a little bit higher too. Not new patients. So I think some people might think new patients. It's not really new patients. We haven't had a ton of those coming in because I think people are either scared to go out because of the media, or they don't know what our rules are, right? So they're hesitant in even calling because they don't even know if we're open or not. So not a ton of influx of new patients, but our current patients, they've all been coming in probably a little bit more lately. So yeah, but we're always busy. So it's hard for me to distinguish, are we busy or less busy? But we're probably up 10 to 20% in office visits, that's for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Good job. Keep doing what you're doing. Now,
Yeah,
and I know you have a few of our lasers, which you mentioned. According to my records, when I was looking before I hopped on this, it looks like you've been a customer with us since 2007. I think that's when you were getting our percussor adjuster devices, but the lasers are a little bit more recent. And then wow. I know, like you said, what's that?
I didn't realize it's been that long. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I was looking in our system. I just noticed that. So with that, and I know you just recently got the Erchonia violet red laser, the EVRL. Could you just tell us a little bit about how you implemented it into your practice? If you're doing anything different now than you would normally do, just kind of give us some insight on that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think our patients expect us to innovate because I'm always trying to find the best way to do something. And we're not jumping onto like new technology bandwagons, this newest product, let's try it for a while. I'm a research guy, but I'm also a results guy. So you could show me all the research in the world, but if it's not working in real time, I'm not going to use it, of course, because testimonials are what drive our practice. So we haven't done a whole lot. I actually have it in front of me because I have a little bit of allergies today. I'm going to use it on that. We haven't used it a whole lot yet, but our patients, it's almost like this momentum that's building. We don't just like blast information at people. We plant some seeds before we even got it. We let them know that there's a new, basically a different type of laser. They know about the two that we have. It's antimicrobial. So I try to tie it into current events that are happening a little bit. So it's this little trail of seeds being planted. And then we sent out a big email when we got it. Here's more research. Here's more videos to learn more about it. So now here's my technique with marketing. I hate being salesy. I hate pushing things on people. But I do know I have to be persistent educating people because we are bombarded by a lot of that other information. So we want people, I try to find techniques where people approach us about it. So I'm trying to find things that intrigue people about this so that my next patient visit with a certain person, they're bringing it up. I don't have to. So that's our technique. I hate pushing stuff on people. I feel salesy. And I know everybody has a product to sell. As long as you're congruent and confident and, authentic about it. And I use these lasers on myself. So I know I'm not selling something, but also I had to get past my, mental block mindset of selling and be like, but if I don't share this information with somebody, who the heck am I if I know this is going to help them not to speak up about it? So that's a tough thing for us doctors to do, I think, because none of us want to be salesy. And I do know some salesy docs out there in every industry that happens, but so I'm worried about our reputation. I'm worried about making sure people are educated and we're not just trying to sell them something. So it's planted the seed. So we've already had this week. We haven't had it for very long. People starting to ask about it. Our handouts this week are based on it. I'll send out another email next week. I'll do a Facebook Live about it, potentially with Penny soon. So I'm just trying to be resourceful, basically. A lot of people think they need resources, money, extra time and stuff to promote things. Well, no, you just need to be resourceful. So I'm reaching out to the people that I know that are the experts, like you guys and Penny, to help me with that process, because it is an unfamiliar laser to most people, but we're just constantly figuring out what's working, what's not, and tweaking our game plan. So.
Awesome. Awesome. So definitely a little bit more of a grassroots way of going about it, more about education, which I love. And I think it's a fantastic way to go about it. Now, you said you have 3 lasers. What other 2 models do you have, sir?
So we started out, I had a knee issue. I saw a study a long time ago about arthroscopic knee surgeries. So our first laser we got, I don't even remember, you can look that up, probably 6, 7 years ago maybe. It was the basic laser. And so I bought it because for 2 months, I tore a meniscus in my knee and it was swelling up every day. I was doing everything. I threw the kitchen sink at it, nutritionally, chiropractic, physical therapy stuff, you name it, I was doing it. So 2 months later, I'm like, this sucks. Like I can't limp around forever. If I would step on my knee wrong, it would swell up double the size still. So I saw a study in AARP magazine. I don't remember where the study was based out of, but it basically showed patients with placebo or the people that actually got the arthroscopic surgery. So this group woke up and they had the incisions around their knees. So they woke up thinking they got the surgery. This group actually got the surgery. So they woke up, saw the incisions as well, but they actually got the internal surgery. So the studies behind that study were just mind-boggling. This group scored better, I think, on every criteria compared to the one that actually got the surgery.
Wow.
So I saw that like a couple years prior to my knee issue. I'm like, well, that's not even an option. Like, why am I going to go and alter this joint when the placebo showed it was better anyway? So I'm like, well, perfect time to buy a laser because, as you know, they're not cheap. Some people, it's very expensive. Some people are like, oh, it's not a big deal. But it's worth every penny of it. I would pay triple the price for it if I had seen the results that we had before we started using them. Because within, I don't know, let's say 4 to 8 visits, it was not a very long time. I bought the laser because my knee, I just didn't know what else to do, to be honest. I bought it within 48 visits. It was like 70 to 80% better. So I'm like, this is insane because I was doing everything else, everything I knew of. And I go to continuing education. I do seminars all the time. I'm constantly reading and studying and nothing was helping. And so I was blown away by it. And since then, we've been using it with like gangbusters. And then the FX, the more advanced one, we wanted to upgrade to that because that's kind of like a standalone therapy. I mean, we have people calling just wanting to do that. It doesn't even take my time, which is really cool. And so this one is just a little different angle. So we had the lower powered laser, so to speak, the more affordable one maybe, and then the more advanced one that has all the FDA clearances to treat the whole body. That was kind of a marketing thing. It's like we can now legally say we're treating your tendonitis or whatever it is, instead of having to be careful with our words. Now we can say it's FDA cleared to treat your whole body, basically. So this one was neat because it tied into our current events. And I think that's marketing, honestly. Marketing is constant identification of needs, innovating, and sharing it, basically. That's all it is. And so when you're congruent with what you're doing, it's super easy for us. We're just sharing, like, I bought it because I know if I get an allergy issue or a sinus infection or my kids get a sore throat from something, it's like, well, we have something now that fits into our non-medication model. And we're not anti-medicine. This medicine is designed for crisis situations. And so if we don't have that crisis, we just really don't believe in it necessarily. And the research kind of has shown that too. So yeah, I don't know. We're using it all the time on ourselves. And that just makes me more confident so that I can share that story with our patients. And they know I'm not lying. They know that we don't just make up stuff to sell it, So testimonials are really what drive us. And we're always looking out for ways how to get those. So.
Oh, absolutely. I have a laser by my bedside. I use it every single night on me and my 2 boys as well. So
yeah, awesome.
So, what's everybody's, kind of, and I know you specifically probably haven't had as much time because I know you have stayed busy and it sounds like it's kind of just who you are in a general sense. But what is probably the biggest thing that you've learned going through COVID-19, whether it's financial, whether it's clinical, whether it's just about, human nature? What's the biggest thing that you've learned? And when I say that you've learned more from a professional side of how you can take that information and really catapult your business to new levels based on the current situation?
Man, that's a good question. That's a tough question because I think the biggest thing I've seen out of this is I have an engine that's been built up over the past couple months, just wanting to serve even more. People are so confused. I mean, the people that don't understand cross-contamination, wearing gloves, and they touch their steering wheel, then they go and touch the food at the store that somebody else touched, and then they touch the credit card machine. I've realized we need to step up our game because people I feel like we know less about our health in general than we ever have. I don't know what's happening, but people are less, I think we're just brainwashed by all our technologies. We're on our devices. We're just not learning about our bodies as much. So it's created some momentum in me, some, I guess, motivation in me to step up our game. I think we do a pretty good job, but there's always room for improvement. And I'm brainstorming over the past 2 weeks, and literally I just joined some kind of mastermind groups to make this even better. We got to get better at this, because I realize our society is completely confused. People have no clue how their body actually functions. People don't realize that their immune system, their body after their nervous system. Most people beat the heck out of both of those systems, and they wonder why they're sick all the time. So it's made me more aware and even more hungry to try to speak up even more without getting in trouble or raising too many red flags, right? Because there's a lot of people that don't like what we do. There's medical doctors that would call us quacks for using these lasers, even though there's 18 FDA clearances for them. So we have to get louder in a very careful way, because they just don't get it yet still. So, and our patients have been phenomenal. But I'm talking in general, it's been sad to me. I have a lot of empathy for these people that they just don't have a clue that germs are part of our environment. They need to be there for us to be healthy. Our microbiome is 100 trillion microbes. On your body right now, you have 100 trillion microbes. Most people know of probiotics. That's one example, but you're only made up of 10 trillion cells, Daniel. You are 10 times more microbes than you are your own cells. People don't understand how that concept works. So it's just created some more drive in me to create better handouts, to create, I don't know, just to do more, get louder, do more, and say more without, ticking people off, to be, to say the least there. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fantastic interview. Like I said, coming into this, I knew nothing about you, and I would actually love to get you on for almost a part 2. We're getting close to our time here, and I don't want to go too long for our viewers, but the information you're providing is absolutely fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. Thank you very much for sharing. Now, what I would like to do really quick, sir, is I'm just going to share a couple things that we've got going on this weekend. So tomorrow we have our first live seminar for any doctors that are viewing that are out in the Nashville area. Unfortunately, this particular one is already booked solid. They're only allowing us to have a certain number of people in the room. We're following all state and federal guidelines. So it is completely booked. That's with Dr. Dan Murphy. But we will bring him back because we have a lot of people on a waiting list that are interested. So if anyone's interested, just let us know. For those of you that are not specifically in that area, and those of you that are interested in getting some education over the weekend, we have a 6-hour fully accredited seminar with Dr. Kirk Gare. He's based out of California. That's on chirocredit.com. It's starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So Dr. Harrigan, thank you very much, sir. It was a pleasure speaking with you. You have any big plans with the family for the upcoming Memorial Day? I know it's a little bit later in the month. Hopefully things start getting a little bit more back to normal, but like it is in Arizona, getting hot, it is out here as well. And do you have anything planned? Anything fun?
Yeah, well, we usually do like a brunch somewhere nice for Mother's Day or something, but we're just going to have to get creative. That's what I'm going to be brainstorming the next 2 days, so we'll figure it out.
All right, cool. Well, thank you again, sir. And like I said, I'd love to get you back again for part 2. You have a wonderful day, and thank you for everyone for attending.
Thanks, guys. Love you all. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.